Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So we've seen a pretty strong sell-off here in the overnight session, and clearly the sell side is in firm control. The challenge for a day like today is that the market is opening off of a pretty oversold state. It doesn't mean that ES can't go lower. It just means that the larger time frame resistance is a bit higher. Now there is short-term resistance at 05 half to 07 half and 10 half to 12 half, and those areas can actually contain the upside if the market is very weak. So we know that the market is quite weak. It's just that it's already sold off so much that the downside potential could be limited to 91.92 or 81.75 to 84.75, which is still a decent move. It's still a pretty decent ways away. But again, the challenge is that it can bounce quite easily up to 05 half, 07 half, 10 half, 12 half, and then turn around. So our focus is going to be on the short side with the understanding that the market's coming off of an oversold state, and because of that, it can bounce a bit. Now, above 10 half to 12 half, there are a lot of little resistance zones. So you have 15 to 16, 19 to 20, 21.75 to 22.75, and the really decent one is then 25 half to 27. All of those are valid areas of resistance. The one where we will exercise some caution is the 15 to 16, because ideally, if the market is truly weak, you want to see it holding below 10 half to 12 half. So if you get a breakout above 10 half to 12 half and it's happening on large upside momentum, then it's going to be better to wait until at least 19 to 20 and maybe even a little bit higher before we short the market again. You need to let that short-term breakout kind of dissipate in the market and allow the market to get short-term exhausted again into resistance before reinitiating on the short side. Now, if the market is truly weak, like I said, we won't even go back up there. And technically, 05 half to 07 half and 10 half to 12 half are areas of resistance that can contain the upside. But we need to be prepared in the event that we do start seeing some buyers coming into the market. On the downside, 95 to 98 is the first area of support, but we have to keep in mind that ES has already reacted at that zone. So once we go down there again, we may not get much of a reaction, and ES could go down to 91.92 and possibly 81.75 to 84.75 before attracting responsive buyers yet again. Right now, short term in the overnight session, ES is balancing essentially between initial support and pre-market and initial resistance. That's the smaller time frame balance area that we're working with. A break below 95 to 98 could result in another wave of liquidation. Again, clearly the sell side is in firm control, and for that reason, our focus is going to be on shorts, and we will be cautious on entering any longs unless we are seeing some pretty decent upside momentum. And even then, in order to trade on the long side, we want to be in early on a momentum shift. You don't want to get involved at a very aggressive price simply based on momentum, because momentum is not something that has to last on the smaller time frames. You can see upside momentum and then it can still fail at a key resistance area. So on the long side, timing and trade location is going to be even more important because it's counter to the immediate trend. Anytime you're taking counter trend trades, you have to be a bit more precise, and they do come with a little bit more risk. Trading in direction of trend at good location is going to provide the highest quality setups. So the simple strategy for the day is going to be to look for short setups at good location, and the only time you want to consider longs is if you are early in the momentum or if you are getting ideal trade location, something like 81.75 to 84.75, or perhaps down near the 76 quarter gap or the 72 quarter 75 area, which is larger time frame support. So those are areas we can still lean on to initiate longs, but you don't necessarily want to get long at mediocre trade location. So that is the strategy and the main ideas for the day. Let's see if the sellers can contain ES below initial resistance, and we'll take it from there.